Okay, here's the situation. The Currys are coming. Lawan Curry here,
Tara Curry.
and we are touching upon humility today. Um, we have something to share with you guys, and of course, we like to start off with the definition, honey, if you will, if you won't mind.
Definition of
Your definition of what humility is in your words?
my definition of humility. I think about how God would like His people to be humble and to lead in humility, and that makes me think of thinking of others, right? It also makes me think about being low, right? Not puffing myself up, not trying to be higher than others, trying to act like I know more than others, but actually, humility is being still. Humility is being quiet when you don't want to be quiet. Humility is sometimes saying sorry when you didn't do anything wrong, but allowing God to be the front and center and not you. Allowing His presence and His holiness, right, to just be first, and you can be behind that. I don't need to be seen. I don't need everybody to know who I am. I don't need to be in front of the crowd. But humility to me is being in the background and being okay with being in the background, and allowing others to shine, allowing other things to happen that you don't have to have your hands in, but you let God be the front and the center of all the things.
I love that. I love that. That's a really great definition. It's actually more than a definition. It's a statement on what humility means to my wife, and I love that. It says that in James 4:10, humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up. I love that, because when I think about humility from a masculine standpoint, right, we think it's going to put us under the bus. We think we're the lowest of the totem pole. It's kind of like the first thought. But actually, you're rising to the top. Every chance of humility is a chance to be lifted up and to have your glow rest upon someone else as well. We speak of this in parenting. It's called the power over versus the power to, giving your spouse power and from your own inner power. So humility, to me, in my definition, definitely means to put yourself, like you said, in the background. I like that. But still knowing that you do have some influence. And I think that's the best thing about it, is that you're not out of the game. You're actually a better participant in the game by showing your humility. Especially when it comes to couples and being married. I think that being humble will allow you for you both to shine, and opportunities for your spouse to lift you up, vice versa, and for you to lift your spouse up as well.
If we think about one of our videos in the beginning about thinking about the other person first, right? That's humility. If we're putting our spouse in front and not feeling like we have to be in front of them, we have to be the one that has to be seen, we have to be the one that makes the decisions, right? Then we're being humble, and we're using humility in our marriage to kind of push up that other person, right? I think humility in our marriages also can be helpful when we're fighting, arguing, discussing, debating, right? Remembering that we talk about it all the time. You don't have to be the one that wins, right? Humility allows you to come down low and let them go high, right? You can use that in family choices and family meetings and talking and figuring out what you're going to do together, making decisions about the house, making decisions about what the plans are. I think that humility can be interjected into many different aspects of your marriage, but if you're always thinking that I do not have to be the one in the front or at the top, it makes room for humility to lead you and your marriage, so that you both are thinking of each other first.
Two words that you make me think of: consideration and kindness. In place of humility, if you think about those two words, if you correlate with those two words, considerate and kindness. If I can be, considerate and thinking about, is this the best interest of our relationship in every moment? That's an act of humility. And also being kind which is something that even in my true nature can come out very raw, right? In some responses, have to be very careful. But you want to try to have an attempt to kind of look at yourself from 2020 and say, am I being humble? In face of the Lord. One of these things, just the last one here, it says, for me, it resonates. It's Proverb 11:2. It says, with humility comes wisdom.
I also think that humility is selfless, and humility is not self-centered or selfish, right? And so when you are deciding to do something, wanting to make a choice, wanting to move forward in something, I think it's important, not just for your marriage, but just as a believer. As a person of God, you should be leading everything you do in humility. And so if you're walking in a way that is humble, that is low, that is not self-seeking, that is thinking of others, I'm believing that God is going to give you wisdom to do that, right? So that humility allows for you to have spiritual wisdom that's going to give you the right way to respond, the right way to make a choice, the right way to lead the marriage, the right way to be the helpmeet to your husband. You know what I'm saying? You see where I'm going? Like that humility, I think, actually calms you down and slows you down enough so that you can think differently.
When I think of also humility, you got my mind really reeling here in terms of I think of the smallness of mankind in and of itself, right? We're on this earth, we're in this space, we're in this galaxy. Think about how minute we really are as a species. For me, drives in a sense of humility. That we're only living here, we only have one life to give, right? Is a sense of humility. Knowing that each day, we talked about being a gift to your spouse in past blogs. Each day is a present, literally, to be opened. And once again, maybe that's why it's called the present. But it really is. And so with those acts of and those thoughts of humility interjecting in your daily lives, I think it allows for better conversation.
Yeah.
I think it allows for better understanding. I think it allows for better honing in on, as you said in one of the Stir in the Pots, love language. Mm-hmm. And so all those things are very important. So we wanted to make sure we give you that piece of message going.
No, I love that because another thing that came to me when you were talking is humility is something that helps you to not put yourself first, you know, and I know we said this already, but like I think it's really important to understand that sometimes we can't help but to push ourselves forward. Sometimes we can't help but to feel like we have to be in the front, controlling things, being in charge, right? Sometimes we're human beings, and as my husband always talks about, like that masculine side, right? This is what you are born to do, to be the provider, right? Be the head of the household, be the priest of the home, right? And so it always makes you feel like you do have to be in the front. I have to be making the plan and showing everybody what to do. But humility, and even for women, some of us women, we are controllers. Some of us, right, want to be in control and want to do things our way. Humility is a reminder that you should be putting God first, but that you don't have to be in the front. Humility should be a reminder for you to truly pull yourself back. You don't have to be the biggest light in the room. You don't have to be the loudest one. You don't have to be the one that's in charge. That if you put God first, and we always talk about God being the center of everything, if He's first, that actually takes some weight off of you. Takes a burden off of you that you can actually step back and relax a bit, because God is going to control it. He's going to lead it, and He's going to take you to wherever, you know, the word says that He works everything together for our good, right? To them that love Him and that are called according to His purpose. We love Him. We are called according to His purpose because we entered into this covenant with Him. And so humility will allow us to step back and say, God, you lead this family. God, you lead this marriage. God, you lead me as the wife, right? And so I just wanted to share that because for me, sometimes I have to remind myself to be humble, and that humbleness is I need to step back.
Yeah. Interesting enough, when we're parent educators, and I think just last thought here on how we parent, and we allow our children to grow by making mistakes. I recently I like to quote that every problem is a possibility. When I think about being humble, here's an act of humbleness that God does all the time. He allows us to make mistakes. He knows what we're doing. He knows where we're going. He knows how we're doing it. He knows what we're doing.
That's good.
But he allows us to make mistakes so that we can learn from them to be better. So here's an act of humility for you guys, for you men in particularly. When you know in your heart and in your gut that you're right. You know it. You know it. But don't tell it. Show it through humility. How can that person grow to the understanding of your rightness? How can you help them get there without forcing it on them? It's an act of humility.
Amen.
It's an act of gentleness.
Amen.
It takes time. It takes patience. It takes someone who you know is going to have your back. So I thank you for being my wife. For that reason alone.
Thank you, babe.
So,
You're welcome.
humbleness, thankfulness, gratefulness. Another act, just real quickly. Start a grateful journal.
Oh, gratitude journal.
Gratitude journal. My wife and I, we do, because it's every once in a while, and it's good to write in them when you think you're being upset with some person, or you're having a little.
You should do a blog on that.
Fabric. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll be a good one. We'll definitely do that for you guys. But these are just acts of humility. Every little small act of humility helps you grow.
Together. Yeah. So, we thank you for hanging out with us today. As always, like and share, subscribe. We always want new people to join us. Comment so we can have conversations with you. But we are the Currys, and we are coming for your marriage. We are coming for your parenting. We are coming for your relationships. And we're coming for your soul care.
Soul care.
Because we want to make sure that your soul is cared for and that God is the center of it all. So take care of yourselves. Be good.
Peace.